The massive chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with energy as hundreds of alien representatives shifted in their gravity-adjusted seats. Among them, Ambassador James Miller stood out, not for his impressive stature or exotic features, but for being so ordinarily human. He adjusted his tie, a gesture that drew curious looks from the blue-skinned council members. Their attention made him increasingly aware that he was the first human to ever stand in this ancient chamber, located in a space station orbiting a distant star. "Proceed with your military capabilities presentation, Earth representative," the head counselor said. Their voice echoed through universal translators across the chamber. The being's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of impatience that Miller had learned to recognize during his diplomatic training. Miller cleared his throat and activated the holographic display. "The Earth Defense Force relies on a variety of weapon systems," he began, showing images of tanks, fighter jets, and infantry units. "Our primary small arms use a propulsion system based on controlled explosive force to launch metal projectiles." A burst of laughter erupted from the right side of the chamber. A tall, metallic-skinned being stood up, their armor gleaming under the chamber's lights. Admiral Brightshield of the Stormwing Military Command made no effort to hide his amusement. "You mean to tell us," Brightshield said, his translator barely keeping up with his rapid speech, "that your species still throws metal pieces using explosions, like savages with better toys?" Miller maintained his diplomatic composure, though his cheeks reddened slightly. "Our ballistic weapons have proven highly effective in our history. We've developed various. Let me show you real weapons, primitive," Brightshield interrupted. He raised his arm, and a sleek energy pistol materialized from his armor. "This personal defense weapon fires plasma bolts at near-light speed, protected by quantum targeting systems. One shot can vaporize your primitive armor." The council chamber filled with approving murmurs. Several representatives activated displays showing their own energy weapons, shield systems, and gravity-based armaments. "Impressive," Miller acknowledged, "but there's more to Earth's defense capabilities than just." The head counselor raised a hand, silencing the chamber. "We have reviewed your submission for council membership, Earth representative. While we acknowledge your species' achievement in reaching the stars, we find your military technology concerning." Miller frowned. "Concerning?" "Yes," another council member chimed in, their tentacles waving in what Miller recognized as a gesture of dismissal. "Your reliance on kinetic weapons poses a safety risk to advanced civilizations. One stray bullet could breach a ship's hull or damage sensitive equipment. We propose," the head counselor continued, "that Earth be granted protected status instead of full membership. This would allow us to guide your species toward more civilized defense technologies." Miller's diplomatic training warred with his growing frustration. "With all due respect, our weapons have proven reliable and effective. We would be happy to demonstrate." "There is no need," Brightshield cut in. "We've seen enough of your explosives and metal-throwing devices. The Council cannot risk having such volatile weapons in civilized space. Accept our protection, human. In time, your species may evolve beyond these primitive methods." The chamber erupted in agreeing voices. Miller looked around, seeing a mix of amusement and pity on alien faces. Some were already turning away, considering the matter settled. "The Council will take a short recess," the head counselor announced. "Upon return, we will formalize Earth's protected status and begin arrangements for technological guidance." As the chamber emptied, Miller stood alone at the presentation podium. He thought about the briefing he'd received before this mission, about how Earth's military leaders had predicted this exact reaction. They had also predicted what would happen when aliens finally saw these primitive weapons in action. He tapped his communicator, sending a brief message back to Earth Command. They reacted exactly as expected. Proceeding with Phase 2. Miller smiled slightly as he gathered his materials. Let them laugh, he thought. Humanity had learned long ago that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most effective. The Council would learn this lesson too, though perhaps not in the way they expected. The chamber's lights dimmed, leaving him in shadow. Somewhere in the darkness, he could still hear the echoes of their laughter. But Miller knew it wouldn't be long before that laughter turned to respect. The morning sun gleamed off the desert sand as Captain Thomas Reed watched the alien observers step out of their sleek spacecraft. Their environmental suits sparkled with energy fields, a sharp contrast to his simple combat uniform. 3 weeks had passed since Ambassador Miller's presentation to the Council, and now it was time for Earth's military assessment. "Welcome to Fort Bradley," Reed said, gesturing to the sprawling military base behind him. "We've prepared a full demonstration of our combat capabilities." The lead observer, a tall being with crystalline skin, looked down at Reed. "I am Observer First Class Clearmind. We are here to evaluate your primitive weapons for safety concerns." The alien's translator made the words sound almost musical, despite their condescending tone. Reed led them to the firing range, where rows of different weapons were laid out on tables. Everything from standard rifles to heavy machine guns gleamed under the desert sun. A tank sat quietly in the background, its main gun pointed downrange. "These are our standard infantry weapons," Reed explained, picking up a rifle. "This one fires 5.56 millimeters rounds at." "Fascinating," Clearmind interrupted, not bothering to hide their boredom. "You still use solid projectiles. How do your troops manage the recoil without servo-assisted armor?" Reed smiled. "We handle it just fine. Would you like to see a demonstration?" The observers gathered behind a protective barrier. Reed nodded to his team, and 5 soldiers stepped up to the firing line. Targets appeared downrange, some moving, some static. "Begin," Reed commanded. The range erupted in gunfire. Bullets struck targets with precision, the sounds echoing across the desert. The observers flinched at each shot, their protective fields flickering to life automatically. "Such violence," the second observer, Bright Thought, commented. "And the noise. Our sonic dampeners can barely handle it." Reed watched as his soldiers demonstrated quick reloads and target transitions. "This is just the beginning. We have yet to show you our heavy weapons." The demonstration continued through the morning. The observers watched with growing unease as humans showed their skill with everything from sniper rifles to grenade launchers. When the tank fired its main gun, 2 of the observers jumped so high their gravity stabilizers had to activate. "Impossible," Clearmind muttered, reviewing readings on a floating screen. "These projectiles would penetrate most personal shields. The energy signature is too random for defensive systems to predict." "That's kind of the point," Reed said. "Sometimes simple solutions work best." The final demonstration involved close-quarters combat. Reed's team cleared a mock building, their movements precise and coordinated. The observers watched as the soldiers used their primitive weapons with deadly efficiency. "I don't understand," Bright Thought said afterward. "Your weapons have no targeting computers, no energy management systems. How do your soldiers hit anything?" Reed picked up a spent shell casing from the ground. "We train. We practice. We perfect our skills the old-fashioned way." "But surely you realize," Clearmind insisted, "that energy weapons are superior. One shot from our standard rifles can be blocked by energy shields," Reed interrupted. "But tell me, how do your shields handle this?" He tossed the shell casing to Clearmind, who caught it reflexively. Their personal shield didn't activate at all. The observer looked at the casing, then back at Reed, understanding slowly dawning in their crystalline features. "Your shields," Reed explained, "are designed to stop energy weapons. They react to power signatures, heat, and radiation. But a simple piece of metal moving at high speed, that's just basic physics." The observers huddled together, speaking quietly in their own language. Reed could see them gesturing at the weapons, at the shell casing, at their own defensive systems. Finally, Clearmind approached Reed. "Captain, we must report to the Council immediately. These demonstrations have revealed concerning implications." Reed nodded, keeping his face neutral. "Of course. Would you like to see our artillery units before you leave?" "That won't be necessary," Clear Mind replied quickly. "We have seen enough." As the observers hurried back to their ship, Reed sent a message to Ambassador Miller. "Assessment complete. They're starting to understand." The alien ship took off, leaving a shimming heat haze in its wake. Reed looked at the firing range, where his soldiers were already setting up for their regular training. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways, he thought. The Council would learn that lesson soon enough. High above, the observer's ship accelerated toward space, carrying with it news that would make the Galactic Council very, very nervous. Red warning lights flashed across the New Montana colony's main street. Colonists rushed for shelter as emergency sirens wailed through the evening air. Above the colony's dome, 3 battered alien ships descended through the atmosphere, their weapons already glowing with energy. "Space pirates," Defense Chief Mike Roberts muttered, watching the tactical display in the colony's small command center. "They must think we're easy prey." The pirates' leader broadcast their demands across all frequencies. "Primitive humans, your colony is now under our control. Your weapons are useless against our shields. Surrender your resources, and we may let you live." Roberts keyed the comm system. "This is Defense Chief Roberts. We have families here. Please reconsider your actions." Laughter crackled through the speakers. "Your pathetic weapons cannot harm us. We've seen the Council reports. You still use metal projectiles. How primitive." Roberts smiled grimly and pressed a button on his console. "Alpha Team, you're cleared to engage." Hidden gun emplacements emerged from the colony's buildings. The pirates, expecting primitive defenses, had dropped their ships close to the ground. It was their first mistake. "What are these readings?" One pirate shouted over the open channel. "Their weapons have no energy signatures." The colony's defense guns opened fire. Regular bullets, not energy bolts, streaked through the air. The pirates' shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing to stop the solid slugs. Metal tore through the ship's hulls. "Impossible," the pirate leader screamed. "Shields at maximum." "That's the thing about our primitive weapons," Roberts replied calmly. "You can't shield against good old-fashioned lead." The first pirate ship spun out of control, smoke pouring from multiple hull breaches. The second tried to gain altitude, but took a direct hit from a heavy machine gun emplacement. Its engines sputtered and died. The third ship, the leader's vessel, turned to flee. "This isn't possible. The Council said your weapons were harmless." "The Council," Roberts said, "hasn't seen us in actual combat." He pressed another button. "Bravo Team, show them our special surprise." A hidden bunker opened in the colony's outskirts. A railgun, Earth's newest defense weapon, rose from the ground. It looked simple compared to alien weapons, just a long barrel with magnetic accelerators. No glowing energy fields, no floating parts. The railgun fired once. A solid tungsten rod, accelerated to incredible speed, punctured the pirate ship from front to back. The ship's shields didn't even flicker. They weren't designed to stop something so basic, so primitive, so effective. The leader's ship crashed in the plains outside the colony. Within an hour, colony security forces had captured the surviving pirates. They looked shocked as human soldiers approached them with simple rifles and handcuffs. "I don't understand," the pirate leader said as Roberts questioned him. "The Council's reports said your weapons were primitive. Outdated. Useless." "Sometimes primitive works just fine," Roberts replied. He picked up one of the pirates' energy pistols, studying its complex design. "Your weapons are impressive, but you rely too much on your shields." "The Council must know about this," one of the other pirates muttered. "Those reports, they were wrong. Humans aren't defenseless at all." Roberts drafted his report to Earth Command that evening. The pirates' ships would provide valuable technology to study, and the prisoners would be questioned about their operations. But more importantly, word would spread through the galaxy. Human weapons might be simple, but they were far from primitive. In the colony's medical center, doctors treated the pirates' wounds. Most had never seen injuries from physical projectiles before. Their advanced medical systems were designed for energy weapon burns, not bullet wounds. "Send a message to all ships in the sector," Roberts heard one pirate tell another in their holding cell. "Avoid human colonies. They're primitive weapons. They aren't primitive at all." As night fell over New Montana Colony, Roberts looked at the crashed pirate ships outside the dome. The Council would have to reconsider their assessment of Earth's military capabilities now. This small battle would send a big message. Underestimate humans at your own risk. Somewhere in space, a pirate distress call was already spreading the word. Humans didn't need fancy energy weapons or advanced shields. Sometimes, the old ways were the deadliest. The Council's military committee chamber was in chaos. Holograms showing the New Montana Colony battle played from multiple angles, while dozens of alien military experts argued loudly. Admiral Brightshield slammed his metallic fist on the table. "This is unacceptable. How did simple projectile weapons defeat our best shield technology?" Dr. Voidseeker, the Council's chief weapons researcher, stepped forward. Her dark energy form rippled with concern. "The answer is both simple and disturbing. We designed our shields to stop energy weapons, not solid objects." The holograms zoomed in on human bullets tearing through pirate ships. The room fell silent as they watched the primitive weapons ignore advanced shields completely. "But that's not the worst part," Dr. Voidseeker continued. She gestured, and new images appeared, technical readouts of the human railgun. "They've developed weapons that combine simple physics with advanced technology. This railgun, it's just a metal rod accelerated by magnets. No energy signature to trigger our shields, but the impact force." "Show them," Admiral Brightshield ordered. The hologram played the railgun shot that had pierced the pirate leader's ship. The tungsten rod had passed through shields, armor, and ship systems like they weren't even there. A military analyst spoke up. "We've calculated the kinetic energy. One shot from their railgun equals the power of our best energy cannons, but our defenses can't stop it." Ambassador Miller watched from his newly appointed seat in the chamber. The Council had invited him to explain human military technology after the pirate incident. He tried not to smile as the aliens finally understood what they'd dismissed as primitive. "Perhaps," Miller suggested, "we could demonstrate more of our capabilities. Earth would be happy to share some of our defensive technologies as part of a full Council membership agreement." Dr. Voidseeker's energy form pulsed with interest. "You have more weapons we haven't seen." Miller nodded. "The railgun was just the start. We've been developing various kinetic weapon systems. Some combine our primitive approaches with more advanced technology." The chamber erupted in discussion again. Some demanded immediate action to counter human weapons. Others wanted to study and adapt the technology. A few even suggested destroying all human weapons before they could spread. Admiral Brightshield raised his hand for silence. "Ambassador Miller, my species once laughed at your guns. We were wrong." He paused, his metallic features showing genuine concern. "But now I must ask, how many other primitive weapons have you developed?" Miller activated his own hologram display. Images appeared showing various human weapons, advanced artillery systems, kinetic orbital platforms, and experimental weapons that made several committee members step back. "On Earth, we have a saying," Miller said. "Keep it simple, stupid." We found ways to make simple physics work better than complex energy weapons. And yes, we have many more surprises. Dr. Voidseeker moved closer to study the hologram. These designs, they could revolutionize warfare. No wonder the pirates were defeated so easily. "The Council must vote on this immediately," Admiral Brightshield declared. "Earth's status needs to be reconsidered. These weapons, they change everything." As the chamber buzzed with activity, Miller received a message from Earth Command. "Phase 3 complete. Proceed with technology exchange proposals." The military committee spent hours reviewing the battle footage and weapon designs. They couldn't ignore the truth anymore. Humanity's primitive weapons had proven more effective than centuries of alien military technology. "Ambassador, Dr. Voidseeker approached Miller as the meeting ended. Would your government consider a joint research project? Perhaps together we could develop defenses that work against both energy and kinetic weapons. Miller smiled. I think that could be arranged. After all, we're all interested in peace and security. As Miller left the chamber, he heard Admiral Brightshield giving new orders. Update all combat doctrines. From now on, we treat human weapons with the respect they deserve. The message was clear. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not with fancy technology, but with simple, effective solutions that worked when they needed to. The Council had laughed at human guns, but they weren't laughing anymore. They were learning to fear them. The massive military training ground on planet Beta 7 stretched for miles under twin purple suns. On one side stood the pride of the Stormwing Empire, their latest battle machines gleaming with energy fields. On the other side waited human forces with their primitive weapons. General Stone watched through binoculars as the Stormwing forces prepared. After the pirate incident, the Stormwing Empire had demanded a direct military exercise, a challenge they thought humans couldn't refuse. They were right. Their supreme commander is approaching, Captain Reed reported, standing beside Stone. 3 weeks had passed since his demonstration for the observers, and now they faced a real test. Supreme Commander Steelwing landed his personal transport between the two forces. His armor sparkled with energy shields that made him look like a moving star. Humans, his voice boomed through translators. Today we will see if your victories were luck or skill. Show us your true strength. General Stone stepped forward. We accept your challenge. Standard exercise rules. Yes. Non-lethal power settings only. Steelwing's metallic face showed what might have been a smile. Though I doubt your primitive weapons can even scratch our new armor. The exercise would be simple. 3 rounds of combat. Infantry, vehicles, and then combined forces. The winners would earn respect and influence in the Council. Round 1 began. Stormwing soldiers advanced in perfect formation, their energy rifles humming. Human forces took cover behind simple barriers. Such basic tactics, Steelwing commented from the observation post. No shield walls, no energy fields. Then the humans opened fire. Regular bullets, paint rounds for the exercise, splattered against Stormwing armor. Their advanced shields, even after recent upgrades, still struggled with simple kinetic impacts. Within minutes, half the Stormwing force was marked with paint. Their perfect formation broke as they tried to dodge the constant barrage of primitive projectiles. Impossible. Steelwing's voice had lost its confidence. We modified our shields specifically for projectiles. The problem, General Stone explained, isn't your shields. It's thinking you need them. Round 2 began. Stormwing battle machines rolled forward, their energy cannons charging. They looked impressive, like moving fortresses of light and power. Human tanks responded. Their main guns fired special training rounds, simple shells that relied on kinetic force. The Stormwing machine's shields flared and failed under the impact. You can't stop physics, Captain Reed commented as another Stormwing machine was marked as destroyed. No matter how advanced your shields. The final round combined everything. Human forces coordinated tanks, infantry, and their secret weapon, the upgraded railguns. Stormwing forces found themselves overwhelmed not by superior technology, but by simple, effective tactics and weapons. Enough, Steelwing called after watching his best unit get marked as eliminated by a single railgun shot. We've seen enough. The exercise ended early. Both forces gathered at the center of the training ground. Stormwing soldiers examined the human weapons with new respect. Your weapons, Steelwing admitted, looking at a simple rifle. They're not primitive at all, are they? They're perfect for their purpose. General Stone nodded. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution. All your amazing technology, and you forgot the basics of physics. The Stormwing Empire acknowledges your military strength, Steelwing declared formally. We will support your full council membership. As the Stormwing forces prepared to leave, one of their technical officers approached Captain Reed. "Those paint rounds," he said quietly. "If they had been real bullets." Reed just smiled. The message was clear. Human weapons might look simple, but they were deadly effective. That evening, as both forces shared a meal under the alien suns, Supreme Commander Steelwing made an announcement. "The Stormwing Empire seeks to learn from Earth's military wisdom. We propose a joint training program." General Stone accepted the offer. As he watched humans and Stormwings talking and sharing stories, he sent a message to Earth Command. "Challenge complete. They're not laughing anymore. They're learning." The twin suns set over Beta 7, casting long shadows across the training ground where simple physics had defeated advanced technology. Tomorrow, humans would start teaching their new allies about the power of keeping things simple. Sometimes, the old ways were the best ways. After all, emergency lights flashed throughout the Galactic Council station. Hundreds of alien diplomats rushed through corridors as another explosion rocked the massive structure. The Separatist attack had caught everyone by surprise. "Their shields are unlike anything we've seen," a Council defense officer shouted. "Our energy weapons can't get through." Ambassador Miller ran into the Council's emergency command center, where Admiral Bright Shield was directing the defense. "They've already taken 3 Council worlds," Bright Shield said, his metallic face showing clear worry. "Their new shield technology makes them almost invincible. None of our weapons work." The main screen showed Separatist ships attacking Council defenses. Their black vessels absorbed or reflected every energy weapon fired at them. Miller watched for a moment, then activated his communicator. "This is Ambassador Miller, requesting immediate assistance from Earth Defense Fleet." Code red. "The humans," one Council member scoffed. "What can they do against shields that even our best weapons can't penetrate?" Before Miller could answer, a new alert sounded. "Multiple ships entering the system," a sensor operator announced. "They're Earth vessels." The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They looked plain compared to the elegant Council ships and threatening Separatist vessels. No energy fields glowed around them. No fancy technology sparkled on their hulls. "This is Admiral Walker of the Earth Defense Fleet," a new voice announced on all channels. "We're here to help. All Council forces, please clear the firing lanes." The Separatist leader's laugh echoed through the command center. "Primitive humans with their primitive weapons. Our new shields can stop any energy weapon in the galaxy." "Who said anything about energy weapons?" Admiral Walker replied. The human fleet opened fire. Regular shells, railgun rounds, and kinetic torpedoes streaked across space. The Separatists' advanced shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did nothing against solid projectiles moving at incredible speeds. "Impossible," the Separatist leaders screamed as the first ship's hull broke apart. "Our shields are perfect. Perfect against energy weapons," Miller explained to the stunned Council members. "But you forgot about simple physics, just like everyone else did." More human ships arrived, carrying Space Marines. Their primitive bullets tore through Separatist boarding parties. Their simple grenades cleared corridors that energy weapons couldn't touch. In the command center, Admiral Bright Shield watched with growing respect. "They're not even using their most advanced weapons yet," he noted. As if on cue, Admiral Walker's voice came through again, deploying the new kinetic strike vessels. 5 smaller human ships moved into position. They looked like simple tubes in space. No weapons ports, no energy signatures. "What are those?" Dr. Void Seeker asked, her energy form rippling with curiosity. The tubes opened. Thousands of tiny metal spheres shot out, accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic launchers. The cloud of metal shredded through Separatist ships like paper. "Sometimes," Miller said, "the simplest solution is just to throw more rocks." Within hours, the battle turned. Separatist forces retreated from Council space, their invincible shields useless against human kinetic weapons. The Council station was saved. In the aftermath, Admiral Brightshield approached Miller. "When we first met, I laughed at your guns," he said. "Today, those same guns saved the Council." The Emergency Command Center became a celebration room. Council members who had once mocked human weapons now asked about joint defense programs. Dr. Voidseeker couldn't stop examining the simple but devastating kinetic strike technology. Earth Force Command is deploying fleets to help retake the captured Council worlds, Miller announced. "We're also sharing our kinetic weapon designs with Council forces." As the celebration continued, Admiral Walker's hologram appeared in the room. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The Separatists thought advanced technology made them invincible. They forgot that sometimes the old ways work best." Miller looked out at the debris of Separatist ships floating in space. Their perfect shields hadn't helped them against humanity's primitive weapons. The galaxy was learning an important lesson. Never underestimate the simple solutions. The Council would never laugh at human guns again. Now, they wanted to learn how to use them. 1 year after the Separatist attack, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council looked very different. Where once pure energy weapons had decorated the walls, now human kinetic weapons stood proudly alongside them. At the center of the chamber, Ambassador Miller stood before the full council for Earth's formal acceptance ceremony. 6 months ago, the head counselor spoke, their 4 eyes showing respect rather than their former condescension. "Humans saved this council from destruction. Today, we correct our greatest mistake." The chamber was packed with representatives from every council race. Even the Stormwing delegation, led by Supreme Commander Steelwing, had replaced their energy rifles with new hybrid weapons, a mix of their advanced technology and human design. "When Earth first approached us," the head counselor continued, "we laughed at their weapons. We called them primitive. We were wrong." Dr. Voidseeker floated forward, her energy form now wearing a physical lab coat, a sign of her frequent work with human scientists. "Thanks to human innovation, we've developed an entirely new field of military science. The combination of kinetic and energy weapons has made our defenses stronger than ever." Screens around the chamber showed the results of their cooperation. Council ships now carried both energy cannons and railguns. Soldiers trained with hybrid weapons that could switch between plasma bolts and physical projectiles. The Separatists hadn't dared to attack again. Admiral Brightshield stepped up to the podium. His metallic armor now included physical plating alongside energy shields. Another lesson learned from humans. 1 year ago, I mocked human weapons in this very chamber. Today, I carry one myself. He drew his new sidearm, a human-designed pistol modified with alien technology. "This weapon represents what we can achieve together. The perfect balance of simple effectiveness and advanced science." Miller watched as, one by one, council members stood to share their experiences. The Stormwing Empire talked about their joint training exercises. Other races described how human weapons had helped defend their worlds. Even the council's most traditional members had embraced the changes. Therefore, the head counselor announced, by unanimous vote, Earth is granted full council membership with special recognition for military innovation. "Ambassador Miller, please step forward." Miller approached the central platform. A year ago, he had stood here while aliens laughed at human weapons. Now they waited eagerly to learn more about Earth's military science. On behalf of Earth, Miller said, "We accept this honor, but more importantly, we accept the responsibility that comes with it. Together, we'll continue to develop new ways to defend our shared galaxy." The ceremony continued with an unexpected announcement from Dr. Voidseeker. "The Council Science Division is establishing a new research center on Earth. We'll study how to combine the best of all our technologies, both simple and advanced." Supreme Commander Steelwing added his own news. "The Stormwing Military Academy is opening its first Earth campus. Our forces have much to learn from human military doctrine." As the ceremony ended, Miller received one final message from Earth Command. "Mission accomplished. Phase 4 complete. The galaxy is safer when we work together." Later that evening, during the celebration, Admiral Brightshield found Miller at the observation deck. Below them, Council ships practiced their new hybrid combat maneuvers. "You knew this would happen," Brightshield said. "From that first day when we laughed at your guns." Miller smiled. "We hoped it would. Earth has learned that the best solution isn't always the most advanced one. Sometimes you just need to throw a rock really, really well." They watched as a human destroyer demonstrated its weapons for a group of alien officers. Its railguns fired alongside energy cannons, showing how both technologies could work together. "The galaxy has changed," Brightshield observed. "No one's laughing at human weapons anymore." "No," Miller agreed. "Now they're asking us to teach them how to use them." As the celebration continued into the night, Miller thought about how far they'd come. The Council had laughed at human guns, but those same guns had saved them all. Now, humans and aliens work together, combining simple physics with advanced technology to create something new. The galaxy was safer for it, and if any new threats appeared, they would face not just human weapons, but the combined strength of all Council races, energy and kinetic, advanced and simple, working together. They had all learned an important lesson. Never underestimate the basics. Sometimes, the old ways were still the best ways, and no one was laughing anymore.